Hey YouTube, welcome to another episode of News in 2 Minutes, bringing you the news that you need to know every day. Let's begin. Authorities are calling for continued evacuations across dry areas of the U.S. as wildfires rage throughout California, and as one watcher notes, NASA's most recent global fire map shows wildfires of varying condition consuming much of the world's fertile land in both northern and southern hemispheres. A lawsuit that opposes the National Defense Authorization Act's allowance for the indefinite detention of American citizens without due process was dismissed by an appeals court on Wednesday. Activists that brought the case to court say that the NDAA allows the president to detain anyone, including American citizens, without the right to trial until all known hostilities are ended, while journalists familiar with the case argue that the language is so broadly written that almost anyone can be portrayed as an enemy combatant. Panama announced that it has called upon the United Nations to inspect a North Korean cargo ship that the country found to contain over 240 tons of weapons, 2 fighter planes, and a store of aircraft engines. Experts familiar with the situation have called the rise in international tensions troubling for the region, while North Korea demanded late Wednesday that Panama release both the crew and the seized cargo. Greece's coalition government has approved a plan to fire thousands of government employees in the country's latest austerity measures. The announcement that will lay off over 20,000 employees and unlock over 9 billion euros in bailout quickly drew the anger of thousands of Greeks who stormed into the streets shouting for resistance and demanding that the government restore authority to the people of Greece. Monsanto is withdrawing its approval request to develop and grow newly modified types of food within the European Union due to a lack of participation with union countries and local farmlands. In a statement, the company said that it will instead rely on approval to import genetically altered food from the United States and South America into the Union where it can be put to market. U.S. senators approved a bill that will allow interest rates on over $1 trillion in U.S. student loan debt to rise up to 10.5%, a move that puts continued pressure on graduated students who are still struggling to find a job and has economists worrying that the next financial bubble may be ready to pop. And to wrap things up, riot police blocked Muslim Brotherhood protesters in Egypt. Tokyo Electric announced that steam was seen rising from reactor number 3. H1N1 continues to be a cause for concern throughout South America. And the ACLU is reporting that Americans' movements are being tracked as millions of photographs of license plates and drivers are being captured, shared, and stored between law enforcement agencies around the country. And that's it for this episode of News in 2 Minutes. Check back tomorrow for more news that the aware need the most. This week's News in 2 Minutes is brought to you by TSHTFplan.com. where even the officials go for news, and SQmetals.com for all your precious metal needs.